bombs streaming around the world. If you take a look at the tail of the tape, you see that Jeremy Ramos is 5 inches taller. He's a pound heavier. He's a couple of years older, and he'll have a 3-inch advantage in reach. And Ramos is coming off a win in October, first-round knockout over James Martinez in Pueblo here in the state of Colorado. And Marquez is actually coming off an April loss, a 4-round decision to Joey Muniz in Nebraska.
Colonel, I can't believe that we've got our second Marquez, who's also facing a 5-inch height disadvantage coming into the ring here tonight.
It didn't work out too good for the first one, Rich.
Certainly
so
didn't.
We'll find out. By the way, the scoring here, 10-point must scoring system, no standing 8 count. The 3 knockdown rule is not in effect. Is in effect for all the undercard fights tonight. 3 knockdown rule is in effect. Only the referee can stop the fight in case of an accidental foul in this state. We go to the scorecards after 3 rounds. This is Jeremy Ramos from Denver, Colorado. He turned pro in March of 2012 with a 4-round knockout over Zamir Young here in Colorado. He won his first 4 pro fights before dropping a decision, a 6-round decision to Brad Jackson here in Denver. All of his fights have been in the state of Colorado. So we'll see how Ramos does against Rene Marquez.
And in Ramos's case, in that fight that you mentioned, Colonel, in which he lost to a fighter that was a 23-fight veteran. It was only the 5th fight in the career of Ramos. So, and he lost by a decision in 6 rounds. Probably a good learning experience for him against a veteran fighter. And he's taken that and posted 2 wins since then.
All right, we're going to get this underway for you. So we're going to go to our ring announcer, Lupe Contreras, who's standing by. Let's get this underway, Lupe.
Ladies and gentlemen, we continue with the action here at the First Bank Center. Once again, proudly presented to you by Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated in association with La Cerveza Tecate con Carácter and being broadcast worldwide on TopRank.com. This bout scheduled for 4 rounds or less in the Super Welterweight division. The 3 judges are Ed Kugler, Gene McAvoy, and Steve Waldman. The man in charge, referee Jay Nady. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. He enters wearing purple with black trim. When he stepped on the scale, he weighed in at an official 150 pounds. And after entering the ring 5 times as a pro, he has a record of 4 victories against 1 lone defeat. 2 of those victories coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Kearney, Nebraska, Rene the Beast Marquez. Across the ring in the red corner, wearing Boricua red, white, and blue, his official weight, 151 pounds. After stepping into the ring 7 times as a professional, he has 6 victories against 1 lone defeat, and 2 of those victories coming by way of knockout. Representing the 303 Denver, Colorado, Jeremy Ramos.
So the Nevada referee, Jay Nady, calls him to the center of the ring.
Come center.
Jeremy Ramos with the Puerto Rican flag in the front, red, white, and blue trunks. All those fancy tattoos, and that, of course, is Rene Marquez, 4-1 from Kearney, Nebraska. So we're set to go here. Purple trunks is Marquez. White trunks with the Puerto Rican flag is Jeremy Ramos.
And you might have seen in Ramos' corner, part of the Team Alvarado entourage that we'll see, in fact, Shan Villauer, who we'll see in his corner later on in the main event.
So here we go in round number 1 right away. The kid from Puerto Rico with the height advantage and the reach advantage goes right to work on him. Big right hand dropped that time by Ramos. Round 1 streaming here on TopRank.com. Ramos to the left of your screen, facing you now. The Beast is Rene Marquez. Marquez had that look on his face that he's, very concerned. This kid Ramos is fast, quick hands.
Well, he should be concerned because he's facing a guy who's ranging and who's forcing him backwards. And in the case of Marquez, he's being the shorter fighter. He'd like it to see the action going the other way, but he cannot move back, at least so far, Jeremy Ramos.
Marquez moves from side to side, trying to work his way in, but as he works his way in, he's not throwing any punches. And so what does Jeremy do? He just tees off with the right-hand lead.
Well, he's going to try at least to bob and weave some and see if he can slip those jabs so that he can get inside that way. If he can't punch his way in, that's the way to get in.
But his punches don't look very strong to begin with, Rich, and this kid Ramos can bang. Look at him. Sneaky left hand by Marquez at least landed something, a grazing blow, a glancing blow, but boy, Ramos really looks strong against him. Ramos double, triples that jab. We like to see that as a young fighter.
Marquez needed that left hook, though. He has to get some respect.
Ramos, by the way, is 27 years of age, to the right of his screen, with the tats up in the shoulder.
Stop. Let go. Box.
Ramos just sort of waiting for him now. Trying to set it up. He goes with the jab first and the right hand. He never seemed to throw one punch at a time. He went with the jab that time. He was trying to position himself to throw the right hand right behind it. There's the one punch, then the right back with the right hand again.
I think he was trying to make something really happen dramatic in that first minute, Colonel, and now he's kind of settling into his fundamentals and into his style.
He's so much taller, and the punches of Marquez are so wide and wild, they're not going to have a lot of power. There's one thing fighting in Kearney, Nebraska, another thing when you're stepping up in class against a kid from Puerto Rico who's living here in Denver, but this kid is a very, very good fighter as he comes to the uppercut. Solid shots, nice left hook. Another nice round for Jeremy Ramos.
Big one. It's too fucking easy. It is.
And by the way, we mentioned Sean is actually outside the ring right now. There you see handling the water. And Juan in the ring.
We're waiting.
Cross away, Isaiah
You got to become
Barella.
way more aggressive, or he's going to do this to you in the
Ian
next 2 rounds.
Conley.
You got to get in on it.
Mike
Right?
Marquez.
Speed. Don't stay on the outside and wait for the perfect moment. It's never going to happen. You just got to get on it. Okay? There is no perfect moment.
As we take a look at some of the action in round number one, the Colonel was talking about throwing punches in bunches. That's what Ramos was doing. And he finally, those last two of a 5-punch combination, got home.
All right, so we get set to go to round number 2. This is scheduled for 4. To the right of your screen is Jeremy Ramos, the big, tall kid, 5'7", against Rene Marquez, who's only 5'4". And, of course, there's a considerable advantage in reach for Ramos as well. Ramos facing you, and Marquez in the purple trunks and black with his back to you right now.
Ramos trying to engage or get his opponent to engage with him. He's a little bit faster, and so he seems to be able to beat him to the punch. I tell you, Marquez has got a lot of problems that he needs to overcome physically in this fight.
Well, there's nothing he can do about his size, but the other thing is that his punches are so wide, Rich, that he can't have a lot of power. Jay Nady gives the voice command, and he takes command in there. A very good referee from Nevada.
He is, again, trying to show some head movement, Marquez. And he came in low that time.
Yeah, he came in low, but he got clipped by a solid left hook right in the temporal bone, and his now Ramos trying to put some pressure on him right above our microphones.
He is trying, Marquez, some different strategies, minute to minute, but basically none of them are working.
That's a problem. This is a tough kid, and nothing's working for him. It makes it very difficult, the size difference, and he's doing the best he can to try and even make himself smaller. The way Pernell Whitaker, when he'd fight big, tall guys and try to even get down, his bum almost touching the canvas sometimes. And Mike Tyson, too, when he fought big, tall guys and make himself smaller coming in and then unleash those uppercuts from the floor. He throws his stuff, but again, notice how wide the punches are here.
He's going to have, what he's going to hoping for is that he catches Ramos in the midst of the two exchanging, and then he gets one of those big ones home. Ramos settled down, fighting an intelligent fight.
No shortage of courage by the smaller man, Rene Marquez.
Box.
They tell him he can't hold and hit. Well, he's doing everything he can do to hang in there. He's, I won't say in survival mode because he hasn't been hurt. But it's not going well for Rene Marquez.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard a referee say, excuse me.
I was just going to say the same thing, Rich. I never heard a ref say, excuse me, before. And Jay takes charge. He, by the way, Jay Nady is refereeing our main event tonight, featuring Mike Alvarado and Brandon Rios in the trilogy, the third fight. Each guy has a win, but you have the opportunity to see some of these youngsters in action. Solid body shot that time by Jeremy Ramos. And another solid body shot right underneath that rib.
Keep your head in the ring. Box.
Closing seconds, and then the bell sounds. It's another Ramos round. So nothing working well for Marquez except his courage.
Deep for decisive. Keep that breathing right.
Ramos has had all of his fights here in Colorado. He's going to be branching out soon.
Do what you're supposed to do. Every time you do it, it works. Quit throwing wide punches from the outside. Straight, hard punches. Hey, all balls right now, bro. You all right? We're down 2, but you did better this round, okay? We got 2 rounds left to make an impression, okay? Make a statement. Once you go after him.
All right, there you saw the example of what we talked about, Marquez getting quite low to try to get away. And when he did that, Ramos actually intelligently went to the body.
So we're set to go with round number 3 here in the scheduled 4-round super welterweight fight. That's a 154-pound limit. They came in considerably under that. Marquez to the left of your screen came in at 150, and Ramos a pound heavier, 151. This is round 3. You heard what they said in Marquez's corner. You know, we like what you're doing so far. You had a better second round, but not enough to win it. And instead, it's Ramos that's picking up the pace here, and Marquez has to hang on. They, too, told him, you know, about the wide punches.
But, you know, if you're not a straight puncher, what can you do? I mean,
he obviously is not a straight puncher, Rich, yeah. I mean, even his right hand, he throws it looping. He doesn't throw that straight either. Everything is wide. Look at that one. He just wound up with that.
Yeah, and now in this round, he's trying to punch his way in and just throw wild shots and punch his way in to get close.
And you know something? That's about all he can do with this guy. The other guy's a better boxer, and he's bigger. He's more disciplined. And, you know, Rene Marquez has a 4-1 record with 2 knockout victories himself. He fought 3 times in 2013, but only once last year, so he'd like to get a little bit busy. 25 years of age. Ramos is 27, but looks to be a lot more experienced.
Marquez getting a little winded now.
And he's getting flipped by some pretty good shots, upstairs, downstairs. Then 3 solid left hooks to the head and 1 solid one in between to the body.
Ramos puts those left hooks together pretty well. There on a number of occasions, he's thrown 2, 3 of them at a time.
That last time, Rich, 3 in a row, which is darn good. There's one little south of the border.
Stop.
They just asked Rene Marquez if he's okay.
That's it.
That's it. He stopped the fight.
And you know, you see Marquez there, and he's really not wobbly, and he's not dazed, but he's completely outclassed. And so Jay Nady just thought, you know, what's the point of it going on? He's just getting beat more to a pulp in every minute of the fight as it continues on, so he stopped the fight.
Well, Jay Nady, as I said, is a very experienced referee, and his job, especially with fighters that fighting in the deep undercard, there's no sense of allowing one guy to just beat the other guy up, and that was what was happening here. Marquez had no chance of winning this fight from what we were able to see. Jeremy Ramos just totally outclassed him in the first 2 rounds and kind of beating him up in the third. So I agree with Jay Nady. Just stop the fight. You don't need to let this kid take a pummeling. So a nice win for Jeremy Ramos. is the lead up to a Rich.
All right, as you see Ramos coming in, and by this time, it was a case of Marquez just trying to cover up and stop taking punches, but he was basically defenseless at this point. And a beautiful jab by Ramos, who's rangy, and actually, Nady stopped the fight after a jab, which is very unusual. But you see there's no protest from Marquez, and I think he saved the kid unnecessary punishment.
He absolutely did. Okay, Lupe Contreras is standing by with the official particulars, so here's Lupe.
Ladies and gentlemen, the accumulation of blows forces referee Jay Nady to step in and call a halt to this contest with an official time of 1 minute, 51 seconds of round number 3. Your winner, by way of technical knockout from the 303, Jeremy Ramos.
So Ramos, pretty impressive looking tonight against a kind of an inexperienced young fighter. And hopefully we come back to Denver, we get to see him again. We'll see, if he can progress.
He's got a lot of things going for him, and they were all on display in this fight. He doesn't have what I would call a big punch, but he throws so many and he lands so many that he'll probably stop a lot of guys along the way from an accumulation of punches, I would guess. That's what he basically did here against the brave Marquez, who kept trying to fight back, and Marquez did his best to adjust. I mean, you ask a fighter to adjust, try different strategies if something's not working. That's what Marquez did. He tried a number of different ways of going about it, but nothing worked. Jay Nady realized it and said, that's it. And so, unlike the days when Rafael and Juan Manuel Marquez used to do very well when they'd fight in the same card, the two Marquezes that we saw here tonight, Colonel, not the same kind of success.
And here's what we have coming up for you.